Leonard Simon Nimoy was much more than an actor. He was a cultural icon who defined the science fiction imagination for generations. Born on 26 March 1931 in Boston, Massachusetts, Leonard was the son of Ukrainian Jewish immigrants. Raised in the working-class neighborhood of West End, from childhood he displayed an overwhelming passion for theater and acting. At just 8 years old, Leonard took to the stage for the first time in a school production. And from that moment, he understood that his destiny would be tied to the dramatic arts. After graduating, he studied acting at Boston College and subsequently moved to California to pursue the Hollywood dream. The 1950s were difficult years. Like many young actors, Leonard had to accept small parts in B-movies and minor television appearances. To make ends meet, he worked as a taxi driver, a teacher, and even as an operator at a gasoline station. However, he never gave up. The turning point came in 1966, when producer Gene Roddenberry called him to play the role of Commander Spock in a new science fiction television series called Star Trek. Initially, Nimoy was skeptical. The character of Spock, half human and half Vulcan, with pointed ears and angled eyebrows, seemed difficult to make believable. But Leonard saw something deeper in that character. Spock was not merely an alien, he represented the struggle between logic and emotion, between reason and sentiment, a universally human conflict. Nimoy created a multifaceted character, endowing him with the famous Vulcan salute with the open hand and divided fingers, a gesture he took from the Jewish priestly blessing he had witnessed as a child in his synagogue. Star Trek became a cultural phenomenon. Spock, with his unflappable calm and his logical phrases such as fascinating or live long and prosper, won over millions of fans throughout the world. The character transcended the series. He became a symbol of intelligence, diversity, and acceptance. But this popularity also had a dark side. Nimoy found himself trapped in Spock's identity. In 1975, he even wrote an autobiography entitled I Am Not Spock, attempting to assert his own identity separate from the character. However, with time, he learned to embrace this connection. 20 years later, he published I Am Spock, acknowledging that the character had become an integral part of who he was. Nimoy was not only an actor, he was an all-round artist. He directed 2 of the most successful Star Trek films, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. The latter was particularly appreciated for its environmental message and accessible humor. In 1987, he demonstrated his talent behind the camera outside the Star Trek universe as well, directing the comedy 3 Men and a Baby, which became one of the year's biggest commercial successes. But Leonard was also a talented photographer. His works explored themes of identity, body, and spirituality. His photographic series, The Full Body Project, celebrated the beauty of female bodies of all shapes and sizes, challenging conventional societal stereotypes. He was also a published poet and musician. He recorded several albums in the 1960s and 1970s, blending spoken poetry and music. Some pieces were philosophical reflections, others tributes to his most famous character. Leonard Nimoy had a distinctive and deep voice that made him a perfect choice for voiceover and narration work. He lent his voice to numerous documentaries, video games, and animated series, bringing authority and warmth to every project. In his personal life, Leonard was married twice. From his first marriage to Sandra Zober, he had 2 children, Julie and Adam. In 1989, he married actress Susan Bay, with whom he shared the final years of his life in happiness and serenity. Nimoy was deeply connected to his Jewish roots and often spoke about how his faith and culture had influenced his work and his philosophy of life. The Vulcan salute, as mentioned, was a direct tribute to this spiritual heritage. In the final years of his life, Leonard used social media, particularly Twitter, to connect directly with fans. His tweets were often philosophical reflections, artistic photographs, and inspirational messages. His final tweet, published a few days before his death, read, "A life is like a garden. Perfect moments can be had, but not preserved, except in memory. Live long and prosper." Leonard Nimoy passed away on 27th of February 2015 in Los Angeles at the age of 83 due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, probably caused by his years as a smoker. His death moved millions of people throughout the world. Actors, directors, fans, and even NASA paid tribute to him, recognizing his lasting impact on popular culture and science fiction. Leonard Nimoy's legacy extends far beyond Star Trek. He inspired generations of scientists, astronauts, artists, and dreamers to look towards the stars, to celebrate diversity, and to balance logic and emotion. His Spock remains one of the most iconic characters in television history, an eternal symbol of intelligence, dignity, and humanity. As Spock himself would have said, change is the essential process of all existence. Leonard Nimoy changed the world, and his spirit continues to live on through the art, the stories, and the hearts of those he touched. Live long and prosper, Leonard. Your legacy is immortal.